Yenge family, Yenge Keno, away Nusiemi, Kamba de Keno, Lu Vubamu, Yala. All praises, Kemu Tata nZambi. Kwisi Ambote, once again, welcome. Bana Bilaka, Bana nZolele, Bana nZambi. Once again, we're coming with another video. I'm going to play my intro, my new intro. I don't own the rights to it. I hope everybody's doing well. I know I dropped a lot yesterday. I wasn't planning on doing another video, but some certain things have come to light for some people we've been discussing. And this is a time for us to continue to be more prepared because many things are now coming down the pike. Many changes are happening. And King Kongo, we told you, it's going to start happening fast. It's moving swiftly now. All praises. We're going to discuss what they were already prepared for. All praises. Hallelujah. Please pardon the gray t-shirt. Still kind of just doing a cleansing and trying to get my spiritual connections improved. It's always a fight here in Babylon. Bye. But, you know, people get upset. Oh, don't call America Babylon. Well, they got all kind of Babylonian symbols that you don't even see, and Egyptian symbols everywhere that you don't even know about. So it's basically Egypt. You just don't know. But anyway, all praises. You know, Kulu Kwatulendo, Tata nZambi, Pungu, you know, is going to continue to help our people rise up in this time. He's always been prepared for this, and so we don't need to worry. We just need to be vigilant about what's going on. A brother of mine, I had forgotten this movie. I never really watched it. It was Red Dawn. And there was some things that I saw just in the preview alone that's starting to play out now. The agenda's starting to unveil itself. But we'll get into that. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. We get into the intro. All praises. I honor all of you who are continuing to do the Most High's work and to continue to bring our people back into the ways of Tata nZambi and Pungu. Again, I don't own the rights to any of these songs or anything that I'm going to play. This is all for the edification of the people. And we are going to move forward in this awakening. And I pray that Tata nZambi help us. Again, I don't own any rights. It's not for redistribution of any kind and not for selling purposes of any kind. Better come on. It's starting. I've been hearing about some things already. The war is intensifying. It's a war, people. You know, praying is great. You gotta pray. You gotta be with the Most High. But action will soon be in the process. Because the Most High Tata nZambi, he's all about the action. You know, Simon Toko didn't always pray. He had to go out and do his work. Simon Kimbangu the same. You know, my work is to be a watchman and to call out the things that we must be prepared for. You know, my work is yet to begin some other things because it's not time yet, but the time is getting closer. And it's going to be a massive event, forces, like it says, like the world's never seen. Time for Bana Betu, nZolele to rise up, because in Simba Wayuda is starting to make his presence felt more and more. Tata nZambi's presence is starting to rise up, and the masses are starting to see that there's an agenda, and then we're going to talk about it. The black man, the Bantu people, black folks, They were always prepared for this time. And you're going to see what they would have done in the last 111 years. 111, actually, that's a three. That's about right. That would be a three. 111 years ago. That they've been counting down the time for things that they never knew, that people never knew about, what you were born into. Hallelujah. Hold on 1 second. My apologies, family. Wakanda. Wakanda Mvula, wherever. Hold on. Song coming on. I'm gonna play this other song. Once again, I own the rights. And we're gonna get into this. nZolele. I apologize. There's some construction going on around the house. We're having trouble getting into the house, so we got to figure out what to do. nZolele. nZolele Kwenda. Mbote. Apisa ya Mbote. Rikichila, please. Please listen. Like I said, test every spirit of the Most High and continue to work hard with this. Always willing to pray with people right now, this time, because I know a lot of people are going through a lot. There's been a lot of misleading things, but we're going to work through this. Oh, man. All right, family. Hallelujah. 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 All praise to the Most High. Hallelujah. Campbell, Campbell. All praise and glory to the Most High. We're going into another phase of, I saw the coding is in place. There's going to be many things happening. Our people, we're reaching now the point where the Most High has obviously done some things that they think they're going to be able to stop. But of course, you're going to see that it's going to work against their favor. I'm going to show you, to start off with, something that was brought out on Twitter. And it's going to explain a lot about the last 111 years or so. Okay. And they feel that they have accomplished their goal at this time, and it's working better than they ever expected. And of course, this is going to also play into what they were planning for anyone who would prophesy for the Most High. And why, you're going to ask the question, why can't people see what we see? Why are people constantly going to continue to believe what they believe? And this article, this statement you're going to read about, that they're now, because see, they're starting to reveal what they have done, but it's like they don't care because it's already too late for so many people, because they've already bought into their lies. And so the system has always been rigged against you. You just didn't know it. And you continue to believe in what people want to tell you is a fact, when a lot of the things about the past have been changed. They really did this. And they always had an agenda for it. Because see, the prophecies of the Most High have always been in their care. They've encountered many messiahs like us, no messiah-like people, I should say, who come to want to teach the Most High's way, or who want to learn it, or trying to help the Most High's, or try to improve. I'm still in the learning process of a lot of things, and I appreciate those who have brought knowledge. And so the one thing that my role in this is to continue to reveal these things to us, that how the wonder flows, the Holy Spirit, the real Holy Spirit flows, is that you always were dealing with an imposter, and now it's time to deal with the real one. But don't assume just because somebody talks about the real one that they're not an imposter, because you're going to see that they were rigging this all along. It's like they didn't know. It's not like they didn't know and they have their agents ready. This is all about the scriptures when the Messiah talks about tares and wheat, that the enemy comes and sows tares among the wheat. Okay? That's why you're going to always deal with misdirection. You're going to hear some truth and a lie. You're going to hear people who are working with the Most High, but really stabbing in the back. You're going to find out that there are those who have an agenda, alternative to the Most High, and every hand has been trying. They have been sending people. It's like I told you, it's like a maze. They're sending you in different directions, thinking that you're going to the right way, but you're really at a dead end. And Paul, and I'm going to read the Gospel of Philippi, that they were hidden from the Christians for a reason, because it's going to show you that when you're dead, you cannot manifest the dead things. And that's why, in order to be living, you really have to know what spirit you're under, because the spirituality that you're under determines whether or not you can actually discern the stuff that's being done to you. And you're going to see that they have made the world dead by promoting an agenda that you don't even know. See, I told people the biggest deception about the 1800s is that they did not tell the full truth about what really happened with Black people. They didn't. And now you're going to see that why things were denied, certain things were denied, okay, is because it was engineered that way, not only by them, but our own people, okay? When we talk about the Boule, which is really a Bantu word, and to begin with, and we talk about, you know, high-level ranking families and, you know, the Medicis and all this other stuff, you're not comprehending that Tata nZambi can use anybody he chooses to get things going in the right path. But what you've been deceived by is the devil's agenda is to always provide the roadblocks and the diversions, and to keep you off the path by the false Messiah deception. And the world didn't even know, because the false Messiah deception has been in place for over 1,700 years or more, is that a lot of this stuff that was happening, that people have been taught in their colleges, in their seminaries and everything, was all rigged to work against you. But the reality is, it goes all the way back to prophecies that you never were made aware of. See, when Kimbangu and Toko came, and Ganganzumbi, and also Kempavita and all of these other people, Matswa and whatnot, all they were reiterating in our situation is, they said, you got put to sleep, is what they were trying to show us, but we got put to sleep because we sinned against the Most High. The rest of the world doesn't know that, okay? To wake you up is always going to be resistance. The problem is those who were put to sleep now believe in the beliefs of those other people who were put to sleep. Because, see, the Gentiles were put to sleep while thinking that they're awake, okay? And that's all about this. See, because it's not about, see, a lot of people take the Bible and they don't understand that there's a duality of the spiritual and the physical. And part of my wife is coming in. She only mad. I'm doing another video, but it needs to be done. But this won't take too long. I'm gonna show you something, and then I'm gonna put this up. You know, I'm gonna do a video tomorrow, but I'm gonna let you ponder on this, and then you're gonna look at the whole 20th century, and then you're gonna see how we went into the 21st century, and you're gonna see, okay, why we telling you not everything was the way it was supposed to be playing out. Not even the whole concept of what the world's been doing. A minute, hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. So I'm gonna read to you. First, we're gonna start it. Kimbo Tata nZambi, Father, Matonda Masakra, for this time to speak once again. We call upon you humbly once again to help us in this time. Give honor to King Kongo Fumu Yisu, the Bana Betu, all of our righteous of nZolele, up in the Kama Kalunga, to our ancestry, all of those that are going about their the time to help us wake up as we continue to transfer the power back to the Congo people. That nZambi continue to help us rise up. Kumbia, Tata nZambi, and continue to Kumbia and Kumamata nZambi to us. We give honor to all of you. Makuma Ingeta, Mana Kumbase, Mana Saliseto, Saku Panza and Zinga. We give honor. Assalamu alaikum Makongo. We honor all of you righteous of the Pemba Kulunga and all of you doing the Most High's work. And remember, you know, somebody said something on Twitter about righteousness. I said, that's not determined by people. Just because you think your acts, see, the problem is we've always determined righteousness according to religion, especially Christianity. The pastors are not defining righteousness properly, and it goes back to how the infiltration has caused this. Righteousness is not determined by you. Righteousness is determined by the Creator. That's the deception. So it's not according to what you think, it's according to what He thinks. But Christianity has made it about, if I go and do all these different things, then I'm righteous. No, your actions, the works have to match what the Most High wants. And this is how they played the world. Because the works that you're doing, you think the Most High approves of it, and He didn't. That's what happens when you get puffed up with knowledge. You think that the works that you're doing, because it looks good and it is good, you think that the Most High approves. This is the problem with how they have been able to manipulate the thought process and do things behind your back that are actually causing you issues and not actually helping your spirit. So you stay in this you stay in this lower frequency mindset, and you think you have raised it, and you're not even close. Okay, and that's why they cut us off from our spirituality. That they knew this is because what you put into your mind and your body affects your spirituality. Okay, and the reality is many people are now going to find out, as they always do, they got it wrong, because they're not trying to take you out of the pit, they're trying to put you in it. And see, when you can control what is taught and what comes out and what people think and what they say and how they interpret things, when you can control this concept, then anybody who comes with anything alternative to what you believe will always be wrong. And I've had people tell me, it's like, no, you understand scripture better than I do, but you're wrong. No, this is what I was taught, and this is what I learned, and this is how I said. That's because the teacher is telling you. That doesn't mean the teacher is telling you right. This is the whole concept. If the instructors themselves are being taught incorrectly, I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about their previous predecessors. We're talking way back. Okay. If these people are not being taught right, that doesn't mean that you have learned it. The trickle down effect is like you go back 1,000 years, and they go and they realize that there's an event that took place, and the real event took place, but then they go and they teach the event another way. So you could say something like, the Most High, they saw something hit something, like they crashed, and they know it was credited to the Most High, right? So then they come back and they give you a story. Oh, this is what we saw. This is the eyewitness account of what happened. But then 1,000 years later, the witness saw that one way, and they have now told it a completely different way, so that the story itself has now lost its meaning, or the truth has been obscured. So that's the concept of what they have done with scriptures. Because when you weren't there, you need the Holy Spirit to tell you, because the Holy Spirit was there. You need the interaction with the real Messiah, because the real Messiah was there. And then you can say, well, you're just making this Messiah up. It's all a part of people's imagination, for whatever. Some people say that who are atheists, right? But the reality is, there's symbolism of gods everywhere, good or bad, for the people who think they're atheists, because they have taken symbols of other gods and put them in front of you, so they must have meaning. So but they hide this. So they made the Most High Tata nZambi disappear in all of his works, and they modified the things that actually did happen. And that's why you don't know if the information that you got is accurate. You just assume that it is, so you live like that. So it's like you get taught something, so you assume, well, they're teaching me and I trust this person, it must be right. I love this person. Because see, that's the whole concept. Trust in the knowledge is key. Now you're going to see what happened to your ancestors and what they were doing. Even this is even before this plan. There was a plan for the 19th century and the 20th century. Watch what he going. This is what I want you to listen to this. I'm gonna share my screen. All right. This is from this person. I guess his name was Israel Cohen. See, that's why I keep trying to say to people, they call themselves Israel. This is not the name that we went by. So this name, you can tell, this is a name that was given to you. I can tell you right now, if you go back to the original people 200 years before that were on the plantation, that were still coming from your captivity, they knew that they were not called Israel, okay? It's called the racial plan for the 20th century, and if you can take a good look at his hand, okay, you can tell that this is going to be something connected to a Masonic agenda. And it says, we must realize that our party's most powerful weapon is racial tension. By propounding into the consciousness of the dark races that for centuries they have been oppressed by the whites, we can mold them to the program of the Communist Party. See, that's why Tata nZambi keeps saying the oppression concept, especially for Bana Betu, this is a made-up concept. You know, we went through our slavery, but we were not always oppressed. This is a lie. In America, we will aim for subtle victory. Subtle means what? They're playing low-level stuff. It's going to be in secret. While inflaming the Negro minority against the whites, we will endeavor to instill in the whites a guilt complex for their exploitation of the Negroes. See, he's telling you that there was a time that they were not feeling as guilty as they are now. That's what I try to tell people, in the 1800s and the 1700s and the 1600s, these emotions that you're now getting from white people did not exist like they think. There was always, it went by, the way it went was where you were from was the issue. You were called, see, this is where the black-white thing starts. You were called, it was always tension among lineage, not color. So they knew that our problem was we were Bantu, Kongo, Bana nZambi. They had the issue with us because of the chosen, that it was where we were from is what caused the tension. Okay, you were more, you're Muslim, you know, these are the things that they went off of, and you can't, you're Edomite, you know, whatever it was. That's what the tension was, okay? It wasn't based off of, I keep trying to tell people, they made this white-black thing up. I'm telling you, boy. We will aid the Negroes to rise in prominence in every walk of life. Asterisk on this, because see, they set us up, but yet you know, they're going to say that the Jewish people, oh yeah, they never want us to succeed. They hate us. No, they overdid it. They did the opposite. They allowed us to come in, but it was not all what people think. In the professions, like I said, we will aid in the Negroes to rise in prominence in every walk of life, in the professions and in the world of the sports and entertainment. With this prestige is what the word prestige, if you don't understand, it's a magician term. It's a magician term. It always was. It's about witchcraft and sorcery. When the magician says, and the climax, whenever his show, he puts an act that will be the culminating of his act. So at the end, you will be amazed and come back for more. Okay? So they're putting a ruse out here. The Negro will be able to intermarry with the whites. Now let's go back to all of the stuff that happened down south with ain't no mongrel gonna mix with no blah, 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 blah. Okay? Who allowed the intermarrying laws to take place? Which will deliver America to our cause. 1912. Remember, that's the year the Titanic, we now know it was actually the Olympia dressed as the Titanic, for those who know some history about it, went down, and then the Federal Reserve was born. Now, the whole story now that's coming out about what really happened to that ship is now starting to be revealed. Okay. But the concept was they knew that they were going to take our they were going to work against, they were going to use us to create the race war. This was what started it. At the same time, because back they did in the 1800s, they kept telling the white people we were there to steal their jobs, and they created it then, okay, when we came off the plantation. But now you see the next phase. They were going to force us, and that's why when you look at when you look at the guy who ran the Dodgers when Jackie Robinson came into the picture, who the owner was, go do your work on that. When you look at the NBA and the NFL and all of these sports events that started to get into in the play, look who was running those sports teams. Okay, when you look at the radio broadcasting, you look at the movies, you look at all of these things that they did, who was running the show? Okay, now, why were they doing? Now let's get into it. Then we're going to get into why 1948 they signed the Israel Accord. This is all and you're going to understand what is their cause. You got to understand what their cause is, okay? So now, this is why Ephesians 5 and 11 is we're going to read Ephesians. Because see, what they're showing you is everything that happened in the 20th century is a fabrication. That's what happened. We're telling you, it wasn't real. Now, why would you, and at the same time, they're bringing us into the Communist Party. Remember what happened with J. Edgar Hoover and what he was after when he started the FBI. Remember, he called many of our leaders in the civil rights movement communists. So that means we were on the side of Russia, who was what became the Communist Party. But wait a minute. The Communist Party didn't quite exist in 1912 yet. So where did that come from? Remember when they executed the czars? What really happened there? I'm trying to tell people, man, our history is so wrong. You don't even know. Be ye therefore followers of nZambi as dear children. The so-called people, they put this word in the Bible. That wasn't his name. We walk in love as in Christ. They put this name in there too, because it's really Messiah, which we knew at that time was King Kongo Fumuyisu. Also have loved us and have given himself for us, offering a sacrifice offering a sacrifice to Tata nZambi for sweet smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints and Santu. Now remember the agenda. They want us to intermarry with other races, encouraging it. When at that time, even we knew as Bana Betu, we weren't supposed to do that. See, they act like this is something that we wanted to do. You're going to find out that some of these interracial marriages that they're talking about in the past that caused controversy, they set it up. Okay. Neither filthiness, nor foolishness talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. And so now when you see what happened here, when here come the lynchings, when here come the Ku Klux Klan and oh no, we're not gonna let this, okay? Oh, we're gonna go into the schools. No, sir, you're not gonna integrate us with these niggers, and okay? Hello. For this you know, no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater. Hold on, where did this go? Sorry. Idolater hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Messiah and of Tata nZambi, King Kongo, God, the Fumu. I told you, they know when you say Christ, you're not talking about the one that the Sanhedrin put on the cross, nor the ones that the Romans did. They know that this Christ is Helios Christos. They know that. And of God, and they know that this God word is the dog God. They switched the names. Yahweh Kongo, somebody trying to say Yahweh was their God. It's all about the spirit, because there's all Yahweh means is the Most High's way. That's what it means. When you translate it, it means the Most High's way in English. Which Most High are you talking about? That's the difference. Yahweh or Yahweh just means the Most High's way. That's all it means. But whose way? What Most High? There's a good and a bad. There's a good way of the Most High and there's a bad way of the Most High. Yah Kongo, all it is Yahweh. Yah Kongo is an abbreviation for Yahweh Kongo. There's the Most High's way of truth. Yahweh Shetani, okay, or Yahweh Lucifer is the Most High, is the way of the Most High, is the Most High's way to Satan. Okay, so Yahweh Kongo versus Yahweh Baal, okay, Baal's Most High's way or Kongo's Most High's way. Let no man deceive you with the vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of Tata nZambi on the children of disobedience. So, what started all of our problem is who is an idolater. See, because they have fabricated much of the history, as you are now going to see, as I'm going to demonstrate, we Bantu people knew that when we come out of slavery, we're not supposed to be doing none of this stuff with other people's gods. But we had already been conformed to Christianity, and we started to worship the God the same way, thinking that he's the same, but he wasn't. But we didn't worship in the same churches. We didn't interact in the same things. And some of us even tried to go back to the old way, and that's when you had a problem. They don't even tell you about that. For ye were sometimes in darkness, but now you're in light. Because see, that was the whole thing that they were worried about, is that when they got us off the plantation, they were concerned about regression back to our old ways. This is where these people intervened. They're like, no, if they go back to being amongst themselves, they will learn. They didn't want that. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth. Truth. This is why you got to determine that you're never, that's why we're telling people in there, if you look at how this man is talking about how they're going to be involved in all of this, that means the churches will now be controlled to where they will now push the agenda that they want. So therefore, if you want to keep your license as a church, 501c3, because the tax code started, there was no IRS around this time, and there was no Social Security. So these were used as weapons to keep you in check. At the same time, it was also used for another agenda, because it started what we call the corporation mindset. They incorporated everything as LLCs. Therefore, now you have to go according, because America was already established like that anyway, but they were doing it more now with businesses and the church. So now your pastor is not just a pastor, but he's a president. Meaning in his board, the board that hires him, there's strict guidelines that they have to follow to be the pastor. Okay, I have a family member myself. He sits on, my dad has sat on board for years. He's still there. The problem is the people who don't know that they was set up a long time ago. That's why the Masonic guy, he's all on tune with this. This is what they knew. They used the Prince Hall. This is what the Boule used the Prince Hall Freemason for. Keep the pulpit where it's supposed to be. And this is what they use the colleges for when they wanted to teach the word. You can only, your curriculum has to match what we say if you want to keep getting the checks. Because see, at this point, these people had so much wealth that they had built up from slavery, from the wars, from, you don't understand, okay? From all of the interactions they started with other continents, okay, and transferring of goods. You got to understand there's a reason why the Port Authority and the people who ran the shipping businesses, go look and see who was on the top, okay? It happened like this for a reason, okay? One of the things that happened that people don't get is much of the crime that happened that started with the mafia. I'm going to get into that because they're part of the agenda too. There's a reason why the Italians and the Jewish people, the Jews, they don't always get along, right? But the problem was Rome was already infiltrated with them long time ago. Okay? So the businesses, the whole concept, the Italians came in, the Roman Catholic Church was doing one thing, the Christian church was doing another, and Judaism was doing something else, and so was Islam. But the problem was you were made to think that all of this stuff was separate entities when really it was working together for a common cause. So technically, when the mob came into the picture, they were the strong arm for the Jewish people to own companies. Okay. So it was also so that the Catholic Church could also maintain leverage over the churches. You don't even know this. Because many pastors were no longer going to be able to preach whatever they wanted. They would get a threat. The mob did threaten churches. Okay. You can go back and look in the history books. It's there. So I'm not bringing out nothing new. You probably just forgot about it. They went and threatened church pastors too. Okay. So now, idolatry was our biggest problem always when it comes to not to committing adultery. See, in the Christian world, they condition you to think that adultery was always about cheating on your spouse, when it also is cheating on the Creator as well. But the problem is they made the Christian think, well, we already have the right God. So as long as we worship in him, we're not committing adultery with another God. That was the whole intention of bringing you to the deception from the time they infiltrated Rome over 1,800 years ago. They made the Gentiles feel you already have the right God. So I'm not committing adultery, and whatever they're teaching me to do is the Most High's way. Incorrect. Big time. And that's why they covered up the wars between our people and them, who said, no way, we out of here. Okay? What they had to do 500 years ago is once again try to convince us, no, we always did it the right way. You were doing it wrong, even though we already had the power. But this was allowed because we were arguing against the Most High. So he permitted. He's like, hey, I want you out of my face because you're not listening to me. This is the way it's supposed to be. So you guys go ahead and take them. That's Nehemiah 50 verse 6. My shepherds are leading my people astray. So everything that happened with Black folks who know the real truth, that's why people, there's a person who kept saying, he was talking about how this brother was, I was talking, he said, the lady did a video, I was watching a YouTube video, no, it was on Twitter. The lady was talking about Coca-Cola. She was an executive or something like that. And they were sitting here talking, and he said they were talking about affirmative action and all the other stuff. He says, you people don't know who you are, do you? And she said, what? I said, you really don't know who you are, do you? She said, I had no comment for that. Who am I? So it's like I'm trying to tell you, the people who were put in charge of many of these corporations were put there by certain groups, but the people who were running it said, you can't tell people who they are, but they said, we know who you are. They would know these things. It's all coming out now, okay? So what he's saying is covetous, that's a desire for things. So when you look at the agenda for the 20th century, what started to pop up? Stores, malls, people going shopping for Christmas. They brought back, because remember, at this time, people don't know. Technically, Christmas was still kind of illegal because of the 1800s, but they started to bring it back because we taught them it was pagan. See, the Puritans are the ones that did it on their own. When they encountered the Kongo people, the Bantu people, we were like, this is not his birthday. No way. We knew this at that time. It's like, what Messiah is this? Because the real Jesus' birthday was not the 25th of December. Who told you that? This is part of the reason why the protests started to happen. But they have erased this stuff. You're like, your Messiah's birthday is 25th of December? When was that? Our Messiah's birthday was we said in Fumu Kuso Kongo 20. No, we said, no, that's not right. Okay. And that's when they started to think, wait a minute, then whose birthday is this? And that's when it started to become a problem for Christianity when it came out of the protest, that they outlawed the Christmas holiday and they said it was pagan. Okay? They're going to always change the history, people. We already knew that, but yet now we're celebrating it again. The Bantu people knew the 25th of December was wrong. The Bantue, we're like, no, this is not. That's why we didn't do the Sunday worship then either. We're like, this ain't right. Because at that time, Rome hadn't changed the calendar yet with the Gregorian. It was not modified yet. When they took us, when they came in, when Portugal showed up, they were still doing the Julian calendar, and they're like, you guys are not worshiping on the right day. All right. So let no man deceive you in vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of Tata nZambi, children of disobedience. Be ye not therefore partakers with them. But now here's the problem. He's encouraging us, and they're building a system to put us in it, to what they're doing. Well, now we're partaking in what they already knew was wrong, that they didn't even tell the white folks. Hey, we got you already, okay? For ye were sometimes in darkness, but now you're in the light, in the Mfumu. Walk as the children of light. Now here's where the imposters, or the so-called, they already knew with Christianity that they were not walking in the light when they infiltrated it 1800 years ago. And then when they infiltrated the protest, they still knew they weren't walking in the light, because they knew who had to be running the churches. They already knew who was supposed to be there. That's why I said, boom, the Muntu, the Bana Betu, nZolele, we were already saved. So we went back into the darkness, and they lied about it. For the fruit of the Spirit is all in goodness and righteousness and truth. Again, proving that what is acceptable unto Mfumu Yahweh Kongo, Tata nZambi. Again, this is Baal. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. So guess what happened in the 1912s? We started to fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. So guess what happened there? Go look outside and you go see the parties you see in the hood, right? Go look and see what's going on in the concerts. Go look at Hollywood. Go look on BET. Go look and see the NBA and the NFL, and how nobody understands that the Laker girls started all this dancing and stuff. You think that's, I mean, that story, I get it. There's some truth there, there's some lies too, okay? They wanted this stuff, okay, to turn the sports entertainment into a party. They brought the party to the game. Because in the beginning, it was more, you got to be a little bit reserved for the Christian mentality. So you had to be a certain way, you had to act a certain way. That was all prim and proper stuff. And then they transitioned it into the 70s, and that's what transitioned it into the party. Because they turned music, the industry of music, into a party atmosphere. So they wanted the sports industry to match it. That's why when you go to games now, you go drink, you go eat your food, you have hot dog, you have your beer, and it's one big party watching the game. You think that this stuff just happened by accident? No. Okay? They knew they had already ruined the Gentiles. But they need to make sure the Bantu people, especially the black folks, you join the party. And look what happened on the way there. All of the killings, the arrests, people going to prison, all of the criminal activities that took place that you never got to justice for. All of the stuff, the lynchings, the lynch mobs, the fighting to get into classrooms, okay? trying to be in the colleges and everything, and they had the historically black colleges that came into the picture because you couldn't go to the white colleges anymore. They frowned upon white college entrances, and then all of the stuff that had to do with fighting to get on the bus and equal inequality. Who's behind the civil rights movement now? Who's behind it? Let's go read it again. What did he say? We aim to sort of by inflaming the Negro minority against the whites. Hello. They created the civil rights movement. Not the NAACP, but they're part of that too. Who runs the NAACP? We trying to tell y'all, your leaders put you into this stuff, and we weren't supposed to be there because they knew when Toko and Kimbangu and everybody else would come on the scene. Oh, no, we can't wake up. Y'all can't wake up like that. Now, start looking at the military. Remember, there was segregation in the military, right? Who started to push equality in the military? People. I'm telling you. Because a lot of the stuff that military was even doing was connected to what the cause is. You have no idea. Their cause has always been against the creator. They know who their God is and who the real God is. And like you heard in the previous thing that I played a couple days ago, the rabbi was breaking it down. We are at war with your God. Whose God? Okay. So now we look at Felipe, that they took it out for a reason. A follower cannot convert someone to become a follower. Asterisk. And they will refer to him as a novice. But a novice cannot make another novice. They cannot make others like themselves. They are accepted by others as they are. So this is what we're talking about, the spiritual milk. Let's go back to the food, the milk, the drinking milk and drinking milk scripture. Let's go back to Hebrews, Yaoundé 15, and they're going to do, of course, this is the Jewish Bible, and we'll switch it to we'll see how it says it, and then we'll go to the next phrase. Anyone who has to drink milk is still a baby, without experience and applying of the word about righteousness, but solid food is for the mature, for those whose faculties have been trained by continuous exercise to distinguish good from evil. Now, why do you think the Jewish Bible says it like that? Now, what does the King James say? They're saying that way for a reason. I tell y'all people, for anyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belonging to them that are full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern good and evil. There's a problem with this. How do you discern good and evil if you don't practice how to do it? And how do you discern good and evil if you're only drinking milk and you're unskillful? Bam. That's how these people trained the Gentiles for the last 1,800 years when they infiltrated. They even said so. We burned the scriptures you had and then transferred it into the Latin. And of course, they used some of us to go do the Greek, but they covered that part up. And they started training you with milk. And they were using our people to perform miracles that they knew the Holy Spirit stays in your, even in your bones. They covered that part up in order to act like they had power when they really didn't. So what they were doing is they were making a bunch of novices seem like they had the master words when all they were trained to do was milk. So what is Philip saying? A novice, you can't, all you're doing is making more novices. You're not making anybody a master. What did Mfumu Yisu say? Those who do the will of my Father and those who are like me, you become like Messiah, then you bear power and you can do these things. That's what happened when we went into slavery. They had to make it look like we were not the masters, we were the slaves and we were the wicked, and that we were the ones who were the heathen, when in reality, we had become the masters. We were not drinking milk, we were eating meat. But they lied about it. King Nzinga was already doing the master's work. Okay? So now you go back to what Philip said. He says, they cannot make others like themselves. They are accepted by others as they are. So that's why when you go talking to people who are Christians, who think that they have all of this knowledge that they have obtained, and they have, oh, I have the Holy Spirit, I know the most, I know God, I can do these things. I watched the video. This lady was surrounded by a bunch of Chinese people in, I don't know if she was in an airport or what, and this guy put it. They surrounded her, and I don't know how many times she said, in the name of Jesus, leave me alone. By the blood of Jesus, leave me alone. And they stood there like this and looked around. By the blood of, she said it, I don't know how many times. And they still standing there like, what are you trying to get us to do? They stood there like, what are you, we ain't going no place, woman. And the woman's like, give me back my paper or something like that. She said, I don't have your paper. And this is a black lady. She's surrounded by the police and she's telling them that they're harassing her, and she's calling on Jesus to let them go. I sat there and I looked at it and I said, you know, I can remember when I used to feel like that, and now I really feel stupid, especially after learning about Simon-Toko and Kimbangu. Okay? And what they did to do, I said, and especially reading what they did to Paul. When Paul casted out the demon, did the people who came to take him pray, he said, in the name of Jesus, I'm going to get out of here? You don't know. They're not going to, they came to arrest him. Did he say, oh, in the name of Jesus, you're not going to arrest me? No, he went to prison for casting out a demon. People need to learn how to read their Bibles without all of the deception of what people have taught. This is the issue. You don't know how to read your Bible because they're teaching it you on how not to know how to read your Bible. But telling that you do. Okay? So then look what happened to Kuso Kongo. He cast out a demon in the thing. They said, get out of here, dude, with that mess. They chased him away. The servant may seek to be freed, but doesn't seek the estate of his master. The follower will not only be devoted, but receives to himself the inheritance of the Creator. See here? The servant may seek to be freed, but doesn't seek the estate of his master. See, the problem, what happened with us when they started teaching us Christianity when we came off the ships, okay? They knew we couldn't be free. They give the piece of paper and said, okay, if you go and you do this much long, then you're going to be free. They had this thing set up. Some people did get their freedom, okay? But the problem is, who was the real master of the estate that you're looking for? Balls. Ball ain't going to give you nothing. He's like, who? You my slave forever. Nimrod ain't going to help you get no freedom. No way. You my slave forever. So you're not seeking the right dude. You're not seeking the right God. You're not going to be free. They're going to make it look like you were, but you weren't. That's why when you find the right Creator, the follower will not only be devoted, but receives to himself the inheritance of the Creator. What are you inheriting as a Christian? What is the inheritance? Because see, here's the problem, okay? If the Christians have the inheritance, then why are you sharing it with Judaism and everybody else? What is the Creator's inheritance? Do you even know what that means? Oh, the kingdom. Where? What kingdom? Oh, up there in the sky. Really? Okay. Those who are ready to accept those who are dead are themselves dead. Those who are ready to accept those who are dead are themselves dead. Now, why do you think the Gospel of Philip is not in the Bible? Think about it. As they are accepting the dead. Those who are ready to accept the living one are themselves alive, and they are ready to accept the living one along with those who are dead. Because there's a distinction between a dead God and a living God. How do you tell the difference? You see the world for what it is completely versus the world you think that it is from those who taught it to you. Big difference. The living Creator knows what his world is. The false creator is going to teach you a version of what the world you think that it is. That's how you know the difference between the living and the dead. The false creator is not going to teach you how to find him. That's why he created a fictitious interpretation of how to find him. Oh, the devil only comes as a dragon all the time. Yeah, right. The devil is nothing but a baddie man in every way. No. The Bible even says he pretends to be good. You got to learn how to get away from these pastors that want to work for the deceivers. Those who are ready to accept the living one are themselves alive. Those who are dead, how can the dead accept anything? If one who is dead accepts the living one, he will not die. Rather, the dead will live again. That's why we're trying to tell you, the Bantu people, we never die. But what's happening to you is, because we accept the dead gods now, you're not going back up to the living one. This is why they cut off the connection. So by them creating the plan to integrate us into the society that itself was dead, you become like the dead. Why do you need to do what they're doing? It was dead. You see? Like the Most High is saying, their works and their labor, they do it in vain because I don't recognize this stuff. How do you know? Because it was all worldly. But they made you think that it wasn't. And they encouraged it now to be taught as if the Most High wants it. No, he did not. You see what he had to do? They had to trick you to think that it was good. So if all of these sporting events and everything that you now participate in are supposed to be good with the Most High, why did you have to be tricked to do it? Hello? Okay? So for the last 111 years, they fooled you. None of this stuff is what you were supposed to be doing. But now they'll tell you, oh no, we're crazy now to tell us that. When you see that they did it, now we're worshiping Satan. Yeah, they already got you. They got you good. A materialistic person does not die because he was never living in order to die. What is he saying? You're always dead. When you're materialistic, you were never living in the first place. But he's talking about spiritually. Now you see why they condition people to go out and buy things, because it makes you dead. You're never satisfied. You got to always want. Now you go and you need a good job to go buy things, to get the good car, to get the nice house, to get all of these different things. And then they go and you have to apply for the loan. And that's when they said, red line, you can't have this. Blockbuster, you can't have this. They created the disparity of wealth on purpose. So then you would want to fight harder to get richer and get more money, so you can say, now I'm moving on up like the Jeffersons, and here I have arrived. And it was all part of the game to pull you into their cause. What cause is that? They had an agenda. They didn't just let you in. See, you got to understand that. They didn't just let us in to this for no reason. There was an agenda involved. You didn't become the attorney, the lawyer, the police chief. You didn't become all these different, the head football coach, doctors, that you didn't just become like this out of nowhere. You see the game they played on us. But yet they're going to tell you the people fighting for equality, they want to bring you so that you have a foot in the door, when whose idea was it? Look at whose idea that was. History, boy, I'm telling you. One who trusts in the truth will live. And he is in danger of, and is in danger of dying. Why? Because you have something to lose and you start not believing in the truth. That's why you once saved, always saved is a lie. You can't put this in the Bible, because now it exposes the pastors preaching, oh, by the blood of Jesus, you always saved. No. Philip's even saying this. Once you start believing in the folly of that's why you go back to Ephesians, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of evil, but rather expose it, reprove it. Because what happens when you have when you believe in the folly and the fruitless deeds of wickedness, you start to die. And that's why they needed the Bana Betu to continue to do what they want and never what the Most High wants, because you're dying now. You're coming down from your higher levels and you're no longer elevating yourself to the right frequency. So when you go back to see the Most High, say, what? What happened to me? Okay? We were never supposed to learn the ways of the heathen because they're already dead. That's the reason why you cannot come through a heathen or a Gentile to get to the Most High, because like Philip says, they're not from the living gods. They're from the dead gods. That's why in order to receive salvation, they had to come to the people whose God was living. But see, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they were not worshiping the Most High. They were worshiping Lucifer. How do you know that? Because they kept people from getting into the kingdom when King Kongo said, you have the keys locked up. You're not letting us get back to the Most High. So whose God were they serving? They weren't serving the Most High if they keeping the secrets. And they were teaching those who teach the Father to break the Father's law, the least you're going to be in the kingdom. So now all the Christianity's churches control are teaching they're teaching their followers to break the Most High's law, but they're going to make it into the heaven. Oh yeah, we're going to see Jesus, we're going to see God, and you're breaking the Most High's laws. And the pastors are teaching you to do so. Oh no, we got it. We're saved by grace through faith. Yeah, but you're going to be destroyed for lack of knowledge, because it says that. Your lack of knowledge is going to destroy the faith that you think you have. And that's how they playing people. He was alive since the time that the anointed Messiah appeared. See, King Kongo and Fumu Yisu was never a dead god. He was the tree of life. He was Yalankuvu. Those who created the material world, who constructed the material world? Who constructed the cities? They carried the dead forward. Hello? Why do you think they wanted us to get pushed into the cities and live in the ghetto? What do you see in the ghetto? It's dead. All the buildings are decrepit, falling apart. You're sitting looking at filth many times, okay? Because the city streets are gonna suck the life out of you. They know that they built these skyscrapers in this world and these cities to absorb your power. That's what it said. The city can suck the life out of you, become dead. So you got to go to church to sing, act like, and go pray. But you're like, wait a second. Okay, am I energized or I'm exhausted? Oh, I'm so exhausted after you get done praising. Why are you exhausted? Because all of your energy went to the pulpit. You energized the pastor, not yourself. That's why you want to go eat something after you get done. Oh, I'm hungry, girl. I got to get something to eat. I was praising the Lord so hard. I got to go recharge with some food, boy. Oh my goodness. What we going to go eat? Why do you think the restaurants always do good business on Sundays? After church, get out. It's all like that, people. It's rigged that way. Because you went and you gave all of your energy that you should have been eating to the wrong God that's absorbing it up there that the pastor represents is Baal. He took all your energy. You're exhausted now. I'm tired. Oh, I gotta go rest. No, you're supposed to do the. You see, people don't get it. When you praise and worship the Most High, you should not be tired. You should be energized. The complete opposite. That means the power was coming into you. Okay? Excuse me. Once we become devoted, remember, he's saying the material cities, who are they created by? Baal, the devil. Once we become devoted, we become orphans, having only our spirit. But the followers of the anointed Messiah, the Creator will come to our spirit for us. So he's telling you, when you go to the city world or the material world, you're an orphan. You only have your own spirit. So we're not getting any. This is why people are sitting with spiritual stagnation. You're not growing spiritually. You're dying, and you're getting worse. That's why many people will go to church on Sunday, every Sunday, and they wonder why their situation is not getting any better. Brother was talking about that. I was having this problem. I said, man, I'm going to church every Sunday. I'm singing everything, but why am I still struggling with so many problems that I don't understand? Because the one thing is, the Creator will come to our spirit for us. He's not coming to a spirit that is defiled. He's not coming to a person whose spirit is worshiping the dead things. That is why people go to outlets that they have created where their life keeps getting bad. So where do they go? To the bottle, to the girly girls, to the alcohol, to the smoking, to all these other things. Why? Because you're not getting the true spirit. Then you say, no, you got to come to church. We're going to love you. We're going to care about you. And everything's going to be all right, girl. We're going to make you feel good. Everything's going to change. You're going to get better. Do you know how that's actually determined? It has nothing to do. My grandfather taught me this. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It doesn't matter what you know, it's who you got to know. Oh, but you got to know God. You got to know Jesus. You got to know the Lord. But yet you have people that know the Creator. They say, well, where's my breakthrough? When am I going to get mine? They're going in, they're playing the lottery and everything. Oh, I got to get more money, girl. You know why you're always running after money? Because money itself has a spirit of its own. Money has a spirit of its own, the mammon. So you're always running and chasing after money. When it has no value, it's all in the gold and the natural resources. They know this. We didn't need to chase money. We had the gold. And they took it from us. Nimrod got all the gold now. That's the problem. He got all the gold. He's sitting there. The pirates stole it. That's why remember the pirates were always looking for treasure? Yeah, what do you think they did when they found it? They bought up everything. Those who plant in the winter will harvest in the summer. The winter is the material world. The summer is the other realm. Let us plant in the material world so that we will harvest in the summer. So what he's saying is, if you plant good seed in the dead world, remember how the dead, the spring, that everything comes out after the winter, okay? then what he's saying is your fruit will even blossom when it's the dead season. Okay, you're going to talk about that. Let us plant in the material so that we will harvest in the summer. Through this, it is fitting for us to not have to pray in the winter. What emerges from the winter is the summer. If you are simply, if one simply harvests in the winter, he will not just harvest, but he will uproot, as this kind will not produce the fruit. Not only will it not bloom in the winter, but in the next somebody, his field will be also be fruitless. So what he's saying is, if you're going to stay with dead, you're never going to produce fruit anytime. But if you learn to be planting the fruit in the dead to become the living, okay, you'll always blossom no matter what. Come winter, come spring, come whatever, people will see the fruit. Why do you think people struggle with seasons for their bodies to always have issues? I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm this. Okay? The spiritual world will help you maintain yourself throughout all seasons. Come rain or shine, come, that is what these real prophets were able to do. They were always able to show their fruits, even when it looked like it was bad. The spirit would still be able to manifest power. You could grow, like I said, you can grow a mango tree in the middle of the winter. Who just grew that mango tree? What? It's snowing. How did this happen? The tree don't freeze. The fruit come out, and you see the sun around it. The snow melt. People don't understand that's the connection to nature. You will bear fruit in times that you were like, there's no way. Okay? I'm not gonna go too much longer because I'm gonna continue tomorrow, King Kongo willing. But that's one of the reasons why when you go and you read, what was I gonna look at? 2 Corinthians, Timothy. Let's go back to here. That's why when he said, I charge thee before Tata nZambi and the Mfumu Yesu Kristu, who will judge the quick and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom. The quick means, and that's what that word quick actually comes from one of the high-level families, like Nestle Quick. But in talking about those who have power and the dead, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. You're going to have suffering. For the time will come where they do not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap themselves teachings having itchy ears. And you see, when you talk to the gentleman that just had the plan, yeah, they created the itchy ear doctrines. This was the agenda. They had a cause to create chaos, which would result in how people would interpret that. Okay? That's why Tata nZambi said, King Kongo is going to tell us, you didn't need any of this stuff. You have it all backwards because the world is going after the lusts of the flesh, but acting like they deny it. It's obvious when you see the people struggling with so many things that they're having with health problems. That's why I said, why would the Creator make you to become sickly? Unless it was your time to go. Why would he keep you in this type of form of illness if you are in obedience? Why would he cause, see, because with the church mentality, they made it into an individual within a church family. When the creator's like, no, it's always about my sheep. Always was, versus theirs. That's the whole purpose why the Messiah said the bread goes to the sheep first, then the non-sheep, who then come to my sheep. Nobody gets that. He said, my sheep first, then you. That's what he's saying when he says, I come to the house of nZolele, Israel first, then to the Gentiles. You get the crumbs, they get the bread. I told you, they flipped it. Now see how they did this? They got all the bread up here, but they're not sharing it. They're keeping it to themselves, and they give you the trickle. That's where the trickle down stuff comes from. They always hear him saying trickle down, trickle down, trickle down. Yeah, you know why? That's showing you we're giving you the crumbs, like Hansel and Gretel. Follow the breadcrumbs to the witch's house. Ooh. Why do you think you're going to the witch's house? You're dropping the breadcrumbs, you're gonna get out of there. Okay? We dropping the breadcrumbs, you better find your way out of the witch's house, because that's where you are. You really in the witch's house getting ready to get cooked up for meat and get something to eat, both spiritually and physically. You in the witches and warlocks house, we preparing some fresh lamb of Bantu today. Yeah, always. Bakongo people, Abantwe, we coming to eat some lamb. We're going to eat some good meat. The devil comes in all forms to devour whom those he can. And he'll keep nibbling on you until he get the whole bite. He keep nibbling on you till he get the whole bite. That's why you have to know what shepherd you're really talking to. His job is to keep hitting him in the mouth when he comes for the bite. Bam! No, you don't get to get no nibbles on my cheek. Okay? Even if they're able to try to do something bad to you, you still, nothing happens. The Most High take care of it. Boom, okay? That's what you got to go, and that's what you got to know. The good shepherd, your spirit, your soul never dies. The bad shepherd, your soul is always dying. And that's why you're going to see the difference between people who always have the spiritual connection to the Most High, and you look at them age-wise, and you're like, what's wrong with this picture here? Okay? See, they're used to being old and decrepit and dying. That's why he kept saying, we don't want to look like our grandparents who were getting old and decrepit. That's one of the things they were trying to get over. We need youth. We want to be youthful and vibrant. So they're trying to cheat it. But what do you have to do that? You have to use something else to fix that. Right? Creams, all kind of stuff like this, Banco Clean. Where do you think they get the stuff from to do this when they don't tell you the recipe? You're going to be surprised on that one. But at the same time, the Holy Spirit, you don't have to see, the Mwanda is going to show you what you have to do to stay in power, in Golo, to stay charged and stay the way you're supposed to look. You don't got to go to the cream store. You don't have to go buy all this, whatever health and beauty, beauty tips. How do I keep myself looking more? All you're doing is putting money in the pocket of the people that made you, because they made you look like that. So now you're going to try to beat it with the stuff that they made for you to get out of it. So Bantu people, Bakongo, Bana nZambi, Bana nZolele, Negroes, you got played. They played you for 111 plus years or more. And they use your own people to do it. Because once they bring them into these organizations, they hooked up. They don't want to get out of it. But then there's also a cost involved when they get there that they didn't see. Guaranteed you don't know that contract, what's on that contract. And also the other things that has to go along with that. Because these people are not what you think they are. They're not nice. Okay? Like they can believe whatever they want to believe in. Okay, not all of them are the same. I agree with that. Not all of them are the same because even themselves, they don't know what these people are doing to them. I agree with what was said. Just because they kinfolk up, don't mean they just, and skin folk don't mean they kinfolk. Just because they're the same skin don't mean they're doing us dirty. Okay? They have played even their own and the whole world. And they don't even see it. That's how strong this is. So all I'm going to say is they now starting to get to the point where they're saying the jig is up. So now we got to go to the next phase. They're getting called out on their you know what, but they're not going to let it go. They're going to try to improvise. Isn't that what they do? What you do? When I get caught, or if it didn't go this way, we're going to improvise. We're going to do it like this. Okay? So get ready for the improv. Do my improv. You got to do the improvisation because we went off script. The script is no longer working. So now we got to improv. They had the script was ready. The Most High did his intervention. Oh, now we got to improvise something else. We got to do something else. They're in the improv phase now. Because as far as they're concerned, they're not going to lose this war in their eyes. Even though they've seen the writing on the wall, they're going to say, well, even if we lose, we're going to take the rest. Like they say, if I go down, you're going down with us. Remember how that saying goes? So like the devil said, if I go down, I'm taking all of y'all with me. That's the mentality that's going on today. He said, hey, I know I'm going down, but guess what? I'm not going down by myself. I'm going to take the whole world with me, as many as I can. And unfortunately for many people, he's already completed this mission. You're going to see this. Because it was never meant for us to join with them, ever. The Most High made the world in total for Bakongo, Bana nZambi, Bana nZolele, and the world would prosper through us, and we would teach them the right ways. And then that way, it is like we're the same. There is some equality, but there's a place for you. You're getting equality the wrong way. You're trying to get equality through the imposters instead of the original. And his world is nothing like what you see today. It's all a bunch of, they got you running around going crazy. You have a life to live. You got to, everybody out here is out of control now. You got to go get, clothes for this. You got to go get set up for that. You got to go do these different things. I understand what I'm talking about. You got to get ready for this, prepare for this, prepare. Oh yeah, running around crazy. You're stressed out. Okay, how's this look? How do I look? Everything. And you're doing it for nothing. Because the creator's sitting there like, what does this profit me? All my money is going to my wicked woman who said, once again, I want to be like them. And now you see what we're having to go through. We're having what we're having to go through for the last 100-some years to be like them, to be like what they do. And now you see all the people The world is now crazy with this concept. It should have been the other way around. They do want to be like us, but like from how they see it, it don't work that way. You cannot try to be like Philip's saying, you cannot be like us and you're a novice. You're going to create more novices and then you're going to make everything dead. And they've been singing songs and they've been shouting for joy and hallelujah and screaming and dancing, and they don't even know how the real dances go or how they're supposed to be singing. They think the way they're doing it, it works. No, the Holy Spirit is the one that teaches you the proper singing, the proper dancing, the proper movements, how to worship the Most High. All comes through the Spirit. Oh, I caught the Holy Ghost jumping up. Okay, no, man. The Most High has a way. Dum, 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 dum. And the way they're playing the music. No, it's dum, 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 dum. How we played it? How did like they had in the Caribbean? They know that's the frequencies. Okay. I'm gonna play the song again a little bit here that I played yesterday. Just a little bit of it. Did I turn this off? Sorry about that. It's gonna make this. Oh, I didn't realize it shut off. Sorry about the YouTube shut off. This is my moment. 1 second. I didn't realize it shut off. This is what the angels like, people. Not the other. You think they like the other stuff as much? No, this is what they really prefer to move. This is how we move. That's why when you see black folks go to the Caribbean, they say, "Oh, we like the way this dancing goes." Yeah, because that's your roots. That's why. That's our roots as the original people, the Bana Betu, the original Hebrews. That's why you like it so much, because it's like, whoa, are doing the dancing like this? Yeah, because that's our frequency. Yeah. So they got you all hooked on this other stuff like they do in Hollywood, and all that stuff is feeding other demons. Their spirit, those spirits. That's why they call it trap music. All right, praises. Hallelujah, Campbell. All right, Wakanda. I'm gonna end there, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Praises to nZambi, and like I said, this didn't happen by accident. None of this did. Don't think they didn't know what they were doing. They understood that prophecies were going to be fulfilled because they had all the prophecies. And their job was to make sure that they interfered with it. Because they knew the Most High put us into a captivity. And they were going to make sure that we never left out of it or even knew we had to leave out of it at all. And they were going to make sure that the people that they taught religion to were favored. 100%. They're always singing, I'm highly favored. How are you going to be highly favored if you got the wrong line of Judah? And you still don't even know it. because there's an imposter and there's a real one. Can you tell the difference? The imposter is going to not be able to do everything the real one did, along with what you should do. Okay? Nzolele kwingi sambololo, wizi yapi Kongo kutwala. And just know that what's going to happen now is the exposure is really, the Mossad is going to yank, is going to yank that mask off. Hey, let me show you your gods here. Let me show you what you're doing. This is going to bring out all the nakedness. Let me show you what's really going on here. And it's already starting to fluctuate. People wondering what's going on. Because everything's run by angels. They're not telling you the truth in science. So when he pulls it off, oh, they're going to alien. Watch what's going to happen. Ingita. Hallelujah. Sambololo Nzolele kwingi.